All right, bro. We back. And this time we got the notes, okay? If you saw the live earlier, then what you saw earlier was a woman trying to improvise. And it's okay to improvise. And even if you're not good at something, it's good to do it, because then you're getting practice, okay? So I'm not there yet at improvising. I had my topic at hand. I knew what I was trying to go with it, but the words wasn't formulating correctly, and that's because I didn't have my notes. Now I know where I'm trying to go, so now we can steer this boat right instead of left. If you saw what you saw earlier, it's still available on my Instagram page. I'm not going to delete it, but I'm not going to share that one on YouTube. We're just going to fucking start fresh here. We're going to start like as if we are doing our live at 12 p.m. like we usually do. Except we got a little more time now, okay? Because there's no time limit. Okay? So we're going to go into this. So what we're talking about today is things. This is a new series that I'm going to start. And we're starting this together. And so, as I'm going through this and people start popping in the room, I'm just letting it know now, and then continuing this series. Please feel free to throw in some things that people don't talk about. Let's talk about it. So, but today we're going to talk about, it's called Words Talk But Actions Speak, okay? We're talking about childhood trauma. And I just want to stop and talk about trauma really quick, because what I was saying earlier is that we all have some form of trauma. Everybody. And I'm thinking everybody in this world, but I'm gonna say at least in the United States. It may not be some trauma that you experienced in childhood. You may be different. It may not be trauma that you experienced with, maybe you have experienced trauma as a child, but maybe it wasn't with like a parent. Maybe it was with a trusted guardian. Maybe it was with, teachers or, people who were supposed to be guiding you. Or maybe it was with another peer. Everybody's story is different, but everybody's got something that has either caused them some kind of distress or disturbance. And that's the definition: distress, disturbance, or physical injury. Now, that's the definition of trauma: distress, disturbance, or physical injury. A distressing or disturbing experience or physical injury. Okay. Now, I like these definitions because something that's distressing or disturbing it's not a physical thing where it's like on your body, you can see it. But I always think that whenever we're dealing with the mind, whenever we put any damage to the brain, this thing up here, it manifests into a physical form. So still, in a way, it is physical injury, and that's what trauma is. And so, and let me try to explain that for you better, because maybe you didn't understand that. So, like, for example, right, let's say that your childhood trauma is, when you were younger, you didn't feel like you had the freedom of speech. You didn't feel like you could say what you needed to say, and you were heard, okay? And so every time you spoke how you felt, you were shut down, you were devaluated. It turned out that saying what you felt was wrong because you got consequences. You got consequences for speaking up for yourself instead of validated or rewarded. It was bad. In your mind, it processed as bad to speak up for yourself than good. And so then, if you don't think that you can speak up for yourself, that manifests physically, because now you're walking around in social interactions, and now you have this label of you're shy, or you're weird, or you're mute. I don't fucking know. And then you feel disconnected. There's disconnect because you don't feel like you can be understood. You feel like people are misunderstanding you. Or you feel like people are misunderstanding you, or you can't find the right word. So you feel disconnected in social settings. Now, because you don't feel connected, you are feeling anxious. You're feeling depressed. Okay? That was a quick one. I hope that connected some dots. But pretty much you saw how it affected the mind, but it's also affecting the body. You know what happens when you're fucking depressed or anxious? When you're anxious, you know, you start feeling the tightness in your body, your stomach's like gurgling, guts gurgling and shit, and it's just doing some weird shit. You're sweating profusively, like you can't stop, or maybe you fucking freeze up, like literally become a statue. Maybe you just you know, some weird things that happen that don't usually happen, right? Or when you're depressed, you don't want to get out of bed. It's hard to take a shower. It's hard to brush your teeth. It's hard to take care of yourself. You need some help. You need some help, but then you also don't want the help. You don't want to interact with anybody. You don't even have the energy. Okay? That's how it fucking manifests in your body physically. So just keep that in mind. I'm playing with my my earplugs from work. These gotta go in the garbage, so I just need something to fiddle with my hands. Please don't let this distract you like it's trying to distract me right now. But let's get into this. So when we're talking about childhood trauma, because this is I don't know if I said this already, but this is what I want to focus on in this no one talks about. We're talking about childhood trauma. Most of the times, what I've found is that our childhood traumas are stemmed off of something that we needed, that we were denied, or something that we were forced into that we didn't want to do. And you know, I feel like those are and I'm sure there's other things. That's what I'm talking about is a very generalized way of saying how there's trauma in multiple different ways. So you were either denied something that you needed, or you were forced into something that you didn't want. And those are both distressing and disturbing situations. My bad, y'all. Hold on. I thought I put it on Do Not Disturb, but I guess I didn't. I have my I got my little earbud in, so I guess I was thinking that my earbud is going to, like, any sound that might happen from my phone, it'll go in here. Didn't even think about if my phone rang. It's okay. It happens. Anyway, so look, always distracted. So, yeah, that's what we were talking about. Something that we were denied that we needed, or something that we were forced into that we didn't want. And this goes deep. This can be something as subtle as, like I was saying before, you not getting the emotional validation for how you feel. You're not even getting the chance or the opportunity to speak about how you feel, because it's already rejected or is already devalued. And I think that's something that hits deeply for me personally. Just for the simple fact that oftentimes in my childhood, whenever I tried to express how I was feeling, I was shamed or shunned about expressing those feelings. And I was called sensitive, and I was called dramatic. And I think I've talked about this before. And so it's like, and then I was never heard. I was misunderstood. There would be times where I'm like trying to understand a situation, and by me explaining me trying to understand it, talking about what I saw, what I thought was right or wrong, it made me get punished, which made me not feel safe. And that's how I kind of was raised. I was raised not feeling safe in my house. So, and a lot of times, it's interesting in the sense that, when the trauma is built because we don't understand what's happening in the moment. It was something that was distressing. We didn't like it. And we didn't understand why it was happening. So I also want to talk about, now I said that can be something, and that's not something light, what I was just talking about with me. That's not something light, but we can stretch to the whole opposite side of the spectrum, where the trauma is, somebody that's being, okay. I said, what did I say? I said we can talk about, like, my personal trauma, which was I wasn't given what I was needed, which was the space to express myself. Or we can stretch to the other side of the spectrum, where we were talking about getting something being forced into something that you didn't want, which could be, like, maybe you, like, it's hard to talk about this, but there's some real shit, right? Maybe you got molested as a child by somebody that you trusted, or maybe somebody that you didn't even know. God, that was hard to say. It's hard to say because it's not my own personal experience, but it's an experience I've encountered in the face of people that I love. And, that spectrum and everything in between, there's no right or wrong. There's nothing was worse than this side is not worse than that side. It's all trauma. It's all trauma. It all hurts. It's all weird. It don't feel right, and then it's suppressed. But I want to explain to you how, like, the stuff that, these things that happen, that hide in the dark, they always come to light, and it may take some time, but, like, anything that's hidden in the dark comes to light. And so, like, trauma, talking about this, right? Excuse me, sorry. The trauma from the past. The stuff is hidden in the dark. This is the shit that we don't talk about it. We lock it up and put it in a pocket. That's how some people say it. That's storing it in our subconscious mind and trying to forget about it, which is a whole nother thing. I've noticed, when we're talking about trauma, it goes on two different levels, is what I think I was trying to say. And there's like, I don't want to call it surface level trauma, because that's not what it is. There's no such thing as surface level trauma. But it's like, there's a traumatic moment. So there's there is a moment in time that affected that changed the outcome of the rest of your life. Something that happened to you that changed who you were. That is a traumatic moment. And then the chronic trauma. And I don't know if this is actually what it's called. I'm not a therapist, but this is what I'm calling it. Chronic trauma. This is trauma that has gone on over an extended period of time and has pretty much shaped you into the person that you are. This is trauma that you've experienced back to back to back, and it's almost like it's all you know. And it's like a cycle that continues to repeat. And it just happens over and over and over. And it's just like, no matter where you go. What? All these distractions. How do I... So it would be awesome. Okay, I'm sorry, I got distracted. I had to take a second because I was talking about some real shit, and the devil is really trying to creep up in my mind and throw all these distractions at me. And I'm taking the time right now to learn how to look past the distractions. So work with me here. Anyways, though, I had to take a step back and talk about traumatic moments versus chronic trauma, because like I said, trauma is trauma, but when we talk about chronic trauma, it's like when you're thinking about like generational curses or something like that. Like, this is like, I'll just talk about the generational curse that I noticed in my family. Like, in my family, it seems like the men are they are there when they're needed, but then they kind of just do their own thing. And if we're talking about, depending on what side of the family, maybe the men are liars, stealers, cheaters, like getting into shit that they really don't need to be, they got no business being in, and then fucking over the people that really actually love them. Maybe they don't even fucking know what love is. And then the women also maybe don't know completely what love is, and are tearing each other down with their words, with their actions. There's no support. It's like I'm here for you. Like, we'll say I'm here for you, but then the actions don't follow through. There's like, verbally, I will tell you I love you, but I'm not going to give you anything that supports that. I'm actually going to shit on you the whole time because I want you to feel beneath me. And okay, I got deep with that, but that's the thing, right? Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm not the only one that's experienced that. So, that's like a chronic trauma. That's something that goes on. That's something that you're experiencing over and over and over. And when I'm talking about a traumatic moment versus chronic trauma, like I said, traumatic moment is something that happened real quick that changed the direction of your life. Chronic trauma is something that has continuously occurred and has shaped you into trauma. And that goes with the thing, hurt people hurt people. So the thing about the difference with these is, with a traumatic moment, you have more time to process what happened to you, and it's all up to you. Both of these, it's all up to you It's all about the mindset, right? It's all about the mindset. But with a traumatic moment, it might have fucked you up. You have more time to process what happened. You have more time to question what actually happened and why it happened. And where do you stand in your part? And when you're asking these questions, this is not to victim blame yourself or, talk shit to yourself or talk down about yourself. It's not to blame yourself or make yourself feel guilty or shame at all. You gotta learn how to remove those feelings out of the trauma when we're talking about. And I don't know if I made it clear, but we're talking about childhood trauma in a way that's gonna help us grow past it. That's what this channel. That's what this face right here, this brand is all about. Growth. Okay, so. So you're able to better dissect it because it was only one event that happened. Yeah, it might have affected you deeply, and there may even be events that you've done after that event that have been self-sabotaging because of that one event. But this is where we take control of our own lives. We grab the fucking steering wheel and take responsibility. You realize you got to start questioning yourself. What happened in those moments? And now what I'm saying about the traumatic event applies to chronic trauma. Okay? It applies. Except you have to come with a different mindset now. Because if you got chronic trauma, this, like I said, is trauma that has been stretched out over a period of time. This is something that you've experienced for years and that you think is normal. And so now you have to first come to realize that this behavior, you got to first look at yourself and realize there's something about my behavior that is not normal. You got to first realize that this is not normal. The way that you've been living is not normal and it's not a natural state. You have to realize, man, if your body's been tense, if you whatever emotions that you're feeling, you got to pull those emotions up, because most times, especially when we're talking about something that has gone on for an experienced amount of time that has been distressing and disturbing, we end up coping. We have to cope with that because it's going on for so long and it's just normal. It's normal. So what we do to cope with it is usually it's suppressing, or maybe we even what do you call it? What's the fucking word? When you dissociate? Yeah. Maybe you're dissociating. Maybe you have to become a different character in those situations to be able to go through them constantly. So there's some type of coping mechanism that you're doing, and usually a coping mechanism is more harmful than it is. It's built to protect you, but in the long run, over time, we're dealing with time when we're talking about a chronic trauma. Over time, as you develop beyond this reoccurring thing, it's not going to do anything but self-sabotage. So you have to realize the coping mechanism. You got to realize the way that you're living is not normal. Then you got to, like I said with the other one, you have to question. You have to start questioning yourself. You have to start questioning your environment. And when you're doing this, you want to try your best. It's going to be very hard, okay? Because when you're coming from a place of not understanding to finding clarity, you don't fucking know what you don't know, especially when it has caused you pain. All you see is that pain, okay? So you have to try your hardest to pull out any shame and guilt, okay? Pull it out from shame and guilt from yourself, shame and guilt from maybe how you feel about other people. I see that big ass U-Haul behind me. That's what I was looking at. I think that this house that's across the street from my mom's house, it used to be some kind of like group home or something like that, and I think it was sold because it used to be a handicap sign in front of this house that nobody could park in, but then the handicap sign is gone, and now I don't know if somebody's moving in there or if they're just like fixing the house up, but it's been people going in and out of that house all day. I be observant. I'm gonna be honest, I be watching because most of the time I'm sitting in my car. Like I don't even be going in the house. Yesterday I fell asleep. I drove home after work and I fell asleep in the car before I even fucking got up, and I didn't even know I fell asleep. I just woke up like an hour and a half later, like, dang, I must have been tired. But anyways, man. Anyways, though, let's get back on topic. I digressed. My bad. You want to question where all this trauma came from, right? So you gotta look at your childhood. You gotta look at your childhood and think about what were you like as a child. As a child, you know, the natural state of a child is free. A child is free. They don't have any worries, any problems. They don't know anything except what is in their environment, and they're able to use their imagination to create a fucking awesome world in that environment that they are in, as long as that environment is free for them to do that. And so you gotta question, what were you like as a child? You know, what kind of child were you like? When was the last time, what are your earliest memories of when you were a happy child? And then you got to question, when did that change? What happened? Why did it change? What happened that caused a change within you where now you don't feel so happy, now you feel depressed all the time, now you feel anxious all the time, now you're afraid to meet people, now you're afraid to talk to people, whatever you feel, okay? And you also need to label what it is that you're feeling. Please label what it is you're feeling, because you have to question yourself these questions in order to find clarity. And I was talking to somebody, I know that these questions are hard, okay? These are hard questions to answer. These are the questions that we keep running away from. These are questions that we don't want to see. What's hidden in the dark is always going to come to light. What's hidden in the dark is always going to come to light. So you could run away, you could run and run and run and run, but if that's what you're doing, this ain't the channel for you, because the only way to really grow and develop your mindset, if you really want a growth mentality, you have to look at the shit that's damaged you and change. You have to change. That's it. In order to grow, you got to change. And how you going to change is you have to become aware of where you have been stuck and then decide to do something different. That's how you're going to change. That's just the simplest way to explain that. And those two aspects, realizing where you've been stuck and deciding to do better, none of that is easy. It's not. I'm just letting you know right now, this is a fucking journey, and it's scary, but let me propose to you this. Has life not been scary this far? while you're sad and depressed and anxious and, hating on yourself, has everything been scary so far? Okay, so if you change how you're doing things and you're really scared of that, what you're saying is you would rather be scared and stuck than scared and progressive. And if you would rather be scared and stuck, you're allowed to do that. But you need to get off of my page then. I'm just, I have to be so fucking real with y'all. I keep telling you get off my page because this is how fucking real I am. If you are not trying to develop your mind, I have no words for you. I really do not. I just don't. Okay? So that is that. Okay? So give yourself what you need. You have to give yourself what you need. You need to give yourself the respect. Okay? Time and space. Time and space. That is what it's gonna take for you to change your fucking mind, okay? You need time and space. Time and space is respect. I don't know how clear her I can get. For real. Because think of it like this, right? When you're trying to analyze the trauma from your past, your childhood, and you're really looking at it, how old are you now? You may be somewhere between 22 to 40, 35 or something. I don't know. Somewhere between 22 and 40. I'm going to say that. Somewhere between there. More or less. And in between that time, right? If we talk about, let's say at the youngest amount, 2 decades. You got 2 decades of an experience of feeling a certain kind of way, and you're trying to change that within a month. Do you really think that's gonna fucking happen, my bro? A pattern that you have repeated for 2 decades is not gonna change in a month. It's not gonna change in a month. It's not even gonna change in a year. Okay? It's not. So you have to give yourself the time and the space. You got to give yourself respect. You have to give yourself the time and the space to grow. It's just like if you know anything about gardening, if you love plants, how do you start a seed? Some people start a seed, the growth of a seed. They call it germinating. They'll put the seed in the water with some paper towel and Ziploc in a Ziploc bag and put it in the sun, so that it starts sprouting. And then once it starts sprouting, then you take it and you plant it into the ground. It's like some kind of fast act. I don't know. I don't know. That's what people call it, germinating. And then, or you have to take that seed, you have to put it in the ground, you got to bury it. Either way, it's got to be put into the ground and it's got to be buried. What is that symbolizing? You have to take what you know. So the seed, right? The seed is the shell. What's inside the shell has to come out. But before it can come out, it's not just going to come out. It's got to have the right circumstances to come out. So you got to put that seed in the ground. You got to bury it. You got to water it. It needs sunlight. It needs warmth. Okay? And then it needs that repetitively. You can't put the seed in there and water it one time and put it in the sun one time and think that the next day is going to be out. It's not. It's got to be constantly watered, constantly in the sunlight. But it's also going to need that time to rest. There's going to be times where you don't want to water it, because if you water it, you're over-watering. You're doing too much. Then it's going to drown. Or you don't want to, or the sun's going to go down. The sun is naturally going to go down. You don't want to have a fucking bright ass light on it 24/7. Because, okay, maybe if you do have the light on it 24/7, maybe it might sprout a little faster, but eventually it's going to come up fast and it's going to die just as fast as it came up. So you have to give it the right circumstances. You want to give yourself permission, okay? You want to give yourself the permission to feel what you're feeling, to speak what you're thinking. Maybe you might have an issue with communicating, because I'm speaking this because communication has been my number one problem since I've been a child. It's been a big fucking roadblock in my life, and I'm working through it, and I'm constantly working through it. But the person I am today is not who I was 10 years ago. Let's just say that. I'm 26 right now. When I was 16, boy, when I was 16, there's no fucking way that I would have gotten in front of a goddamn camera. You can barely find a picture of me. You can barely find a picture of me in high school. And that's because I was not comfortable with the way that I looked. I didn't like the way that I looked. I didn't like the way that I sound. I didn't fucking talk. I didn't talk to nobody. You know, I think I had a boyfriend at the time, but we barely hung out, or like, you know, I wasn't really out like that. My ass was in the house somewhere, fucking in a room, dark as fuck, like, trying to be left alone. Trying to figure out why the fuck I feel so depressed. I don't have energy. Like, I don't even want to do this broke ass homework that doesn't make sense. Like, none of this shit makes sense. And I just didn't care. I didn't care about anything except, you know, I felt depressed. And since that's how I fucking felt, and that's how I had to cope, I had to motherfucking cope. And I coped by living my life day by day in a numb state. That's how I cope. And so I'm bringing that up because maybe you have a problem with your words and communicating, right? You want to give yourself the permission to have that open dialogue with yourself. Like, to just be able to talk to yourself in a way that is not harsh, cruel, or mean, okay? And I understand that when maybe, like, if that's all you know, because that was where I was at a point, if that's all you know, you need to start somewhere. I know for me, like, it was hard for me to articulate words to say how I was feeling. And when I was younger, I think I tried to maybe start a journal at one point when I was younger, but then I got to a point where I felt so unsafe to be myself that I didn't want to write shit down, because I didn't feel like it was going to be safe for me to write shit down because of the environment that I was in. If I would have wrote shit down, how I was really feeling and what I was really thinking, somebody would have read that and then I would have been punished. That's how I felt. And so, you know, I really kept myself in my head, internalized a lot of shit. And the thing about writing things down, and why I'm preaching this shit, I'm telling you, and I'm constantly fucking telling you, write your shit down, is because when you take a pen and a piece of paper and you're writing that shit down, what you're doing is you're pulling it from in here into physical form. It's like one first step of manifesting. And I mean, we're always manifesting, whether you write it down or not. It's in action. But that way, if you write it down, then you can look at the words. It's something about, like, when the shit's going on up here and then actually seeing what's going on up here. Okay, let me try to explain this, right? Because I'm sure that I'm not the only one that has experienced. It seems like there's a lot of voices that go on in your head, and that's it's normal. What's happening is you've got what some people want to call it, like right or wrong, but it's pretty much like you got all these voices that's telling you, it's like your dialogue. It's like the dialogue that you're raised on. So like, you know, maybe all you know is negative and hate. And so you got these things that's telling you, oh, why'd you say this? Why'd you do that? You should have did this. Now you're not worthy. You suck. You're lame. You're boring. Like, or whatever the shit is that you hear in your head. And then it's like, you hear it, and then it's like layers that's being thrown on top of each other. Like one negative thing about yourself on top of another negative thing, on top of another negative, on top of another negative. And then it just cycles. I think they call that ruminating, something like that. Like you just keep playing over the same thoughts, and those same thoughts are going in your mind over and over and over and over and over. So you got to give yourself the permission first. Like I said, be nice to yourself. Write the shit down on paper. If you don't feel safe to write it on paper, you know what I did when I first started writing? You know, I didn't feel safe until I started trying to work on myself. Then I realized that in my body, I didn't feel safe anywhere I went. And then I was like, well, I never write because of what I told you guys. And I was like, well, I'll start writing in my phone since I don't want nobody to see my thoughts. And nobody's ever going to be in my phone. At least that was how I was thinking. I don't know if, you know, somebody was actually going through my phone at the time. I was in a relationship when I started this stuff, okay? I don't know what the fuck he was doing because I'm not going to get into that. But I don't think he was going through my phone. And even if he was, I felt safe enough to be able to write to myself in my notes. So that's how I started, right? When I first started writing notes, people will tell you, make sure you're being kind to yourself. Make sure you're being, you know, say gentle things. No. You want to be fucking so goddamn real. So goddamn real. When I first started taking notes in my phone, I made a folder and I named it Why I Hate Myself. And then I just listed off a bunch of shit. I would just take notes when I was feeling a strong emotion. I would go into this folder and I would write down what I felt. And a lot of times it was because I hate myself because I'm fucking stupid. I hate myself because I don't know how to communicate. I hate myself because everything I do is wrong. And, you know, that was, I still have those notes, by the way. And I take, like, every year I'll go back and I'll look on my notes. And when I look at some of those notes that, like how my mind was at that time and how deeply it affected me at that time, it makes me tear up to see where I was. Now, when I started taking those notes, by the way, that was 2018, I'm gonna say 2017 or 2018, somewhere like there. Now, when I started taking those notes compared to where I am now, like, I get emotional because what is that? Let's say 2017. That's like 5 years. That's like fucking 5 years. Bro, the amount of fucking mental growth that I went in just 5 years. 5 years. Just from starting somewhere. Didn't know where to start. Just started writing how I felt. Just, right? This is how I feel, okay? Eventually you want to get to a point where, okay, this is how I feel. Now it's good to write down how you feel, because you're going to look at those, you're going to question, why do I feel this way? Why do I hate myself so much? If I hate that I don't know how to communicate, what can I do to better my communication? If I hate that I'm always wrong, why do I feel like I'm always wrong? What makes me feel that way? Because there's no fucking goddamn way in hell that I'm always wrong. There's no way. There's no way that I'm always wrong. And if I am always wrong, how can I do right? Okay? So you want to start questioning yourself that way. And then you also want to start implementing this little strategy right here. You want to start talking to the thing that you're afraid of as if you're talking to a child. So, okay, let's talk about communication, because that's the big thing. Excuse me. Let's talk about communication. So, if you're afraid of communicating, why are you afraid of communicating? Because you feel like every time you communicate what you're thinking or how you feel, it leads to a punishment, right? So now you need to talk to yourself as if, like, talk to that fear of punishment for communicating as if have a good night. You too, my bro. Okay, so talk to yourself as if you were a child, right? Like how you would talk to yourself as a child. Like, say you are who you are now, and then how would you talk to yourself if you saw yourself as that child who was feeling devaluated for expressing how they felt? And you just observed what happened. You just observed yourself saying how you felt, and then being punished for saying how you felt. And now it's just you and that child. You and child you. What would you tell yourself? What would you tell yourself? Now, you're not going to tell me that you would sit here and tell yourself, oh, you shouldn't have fucking said nothing. Now, okay, maybe that's what you told yourself as a child, right? Because you didn't understand. You're not going to sit here and tell me that's what you're going to tell yourself now. You're going to try to tell yourself, you're going to be sympathetic to yourself because you've already experienced that, and so you know how it feels. You know how it feels. You're probably going to start with something like, hey, are you okay? No, I'm not okay. That really hurt my feelings, and I don't know what to do now. Okay, and then you're also going to notice when you say, I don't know, okay? We're going to circle back to that in a second. Notice when you're saying, I don't know. But I don't know why that happens to me. I feel like shit now, or something, whatever, you know? And then you're gonna probably say something like, yeah, something sympathetic, like, it's unfair how the world works or whatever, but things happen for a reason. And whatever you need to hear that's uplifting, motivating, encouraging, something that's going to give you support, something that's going to give you hope, something that is going to give you, hold on, wait, I wrote it down. Confidence. Something that's going to give you hope, encouragement, hope, confidence, and support. That's how you're going to talk to yourself. You want to encourage yourself. Now, take this word and do your own research and apply it to how you need encouragement. What is it that you need when you're thinking about encouraging yourself? Okay, and then yeah, honestly, I think I thought I had something on top of that, but I think that was the wrap up. You need to encourage yourself. You have to question yourself. You gotta face that fear. Talk to it as if you were talking to your childhood self. Be sympathetic. Encourage yourself. Now, I guess I'll say this, okay? There's a difference between encouraging yourself to do right, and what's that word? Enabling yourself to do the same shit over and over and over. Encouragement and enabling are two different things, okay? And I think that it would be pretty easy to get them mixed up, because enabling is going to look something like this. I'm locked up. I don't feel safe to express myself right now. And well, this happens all the time, and I think that it's okay to I think it's okay. I'm just gonna go cry it out, and then, let it go, and it's okay. It's okay. I don't have to say anything. Or enabling is what's gonna happen when you say, I don't know, or I can't, okay? Because when you're saying that, you're just kind of accepting defeat. And enabling is like, this is the only way that it's going to be. This is the only way it can be. There's not going to be a change. So encouragement is you're validating how you feel and supporting that, giving yourself the support, the support, the courage, and the hope that things will be different. Things will be different. So I need to talk about this stuff. It goes deeper than this, because you're giving yourself this stuff, but realize that, and I'm trying to figure out a way to talk to as many people as possible, because not everybody is connected with God. Not everybody is a spiritual being. But when we're talking about a growth mindset, the way that your mindset is going to grow, you're going to be connected to spirit eventually. Because you have to realize that when you're growing your mind, it's not just your mind. It's your mind, your body, and your soul. So you have to develop your mind. You have to develop your body. You have to develop your soul. And when I'm talking about your soul, that is fucking spirit. Your soul is connected to spirit. And whether you call spirit God, the universe, Gaia, my ancestors, my spirit guides, whatever you calling spirit, that's spirit. And I want to just really quickly talk about this. It might not make sense right now, but I have to talk about it because it's going to come up again later. When you're starting off your spiritual journey, let's say you're starting off, I say your spiritual journey, but it's really just a growth journey, right? When you're starting off your journey, maybe you're coming from a place where religion has hurt you. You don't fuck with religion. You don't think that God exists. Maybe you think that God is dead, and all this spiritual shit is woo-woo, and like ghosts might exist. So that's fucking scary, which we're going to talk about this shit tomorrow. Okay, we're going to talk about this tomorrow, and I might even just wait until after work again, because these topics are deep. But you might think that at first, because that's where I started off. I started off with the idea of, I just want to be happy. I didn't know why I was so miserable, why I felt like so much shit about myself, and no matter what I did, it just was like a season I felt okay, but most of the time, even in that season that I was feeling okay, I was still talking shit to myself. I still hated myself. I did not like who I was as a person at all. And I didn't understand why. And so I just wanted to be happy, and I wanted to, at the time, I had been hurt by religion. I was raised as a Baptist, and the things that I saw as a Christian did not align with the things that Christians talk about. It's like they preach one thing but do another. It's like that do as I say, not as I do, and it don't align. Like, it don't align, and clearly it don't align because that shit it fucked me up, okay? So it was always like, I'm starting a spiritual journey in order to learn more about spirituality, because I didn't really know anything other than what I was told in church, which I didn't believe any of that shit. So yeah, so I'm saying that, so like, if you start off not believing, and then you go through your path, you go through your journey, you find yourself in a place where it seems like little things are happening. Maybe you're starting to notice like synchronicities, or maybe you're starting to get into astrology, maybe even tarot. Some people do fucking Ouija boards, which, you know, I don't recommend, because that stuff is it's a great way. It is a great way to get yourself pulled closer to spirit, but it's going to pull you further away before it pulls you closer. And if you don't have the right mindset, it's going to pull you completely away. So you got to have the right, and when I'm talking about the right mindset, you gotta start this journey already expecting growth, okay? So I guess you're starting your journey on faith. Like, faith that, you know, if you consistently do these things to help yourself grow, if you're looking for growth, you're going to find it. If you're looking for change, you're going to find it. But if you're looking for validation, you know, you could be looking for validation too, but you got to have when I'm talking about the right mindset, right? I'm talking about, what is the purpose of the reason why you're doing this, right? What's your why? You can't be like, I want to grow my mindset so I can get back at all the people that hurt me in my past. Like, that's twisted, and that's not doing anything for you. It's not doing anything for other people. You want to grow your mindset to help you so that you can help others. So you can be of service to yourself, so you can be of service to others. So you can add value to yourself, so you can add value to others. That's the reason why you're doing it, okay? So, with all of that said, I need to really quickly just wrap this life coaching session up, because that's how I feel like I just did right now. I did a lot of talking, okay? I need to wrap this up, okay? Realize who I am. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you don't know. I am Leo, okay? I am a life coach. I am a growth mindset coach. I am helping you develop the mindset to grow, okay? To grow in, I guess you can say, a righteous way, okay? Not in vain, to grow for what I would call God. But like I said, everybody's not there yet. What I do is different than a therapist. If you never experienced a life coach, if you never experienced somebody like me, we're not therapists. A therapist, we're pretty similar. The lines kind of cross, but they're not exactly the same. Yeah. A therapist is somebody who is going to help you dissect and understand what happened to you in the past. They're going to pretty much, what do you call it? They're going to, damn, the word was right there. Diagnose, that's the word. They're going to diagnose you with a thing, and then also help you to figure out how you can start healing and treating from that thing. A coach is going to help you heal in a way that is progressive. We're not looking at your past. We have to take a glance at your past so we can understand where you're coming from, but we're not focused on the past. We don't have to go on and on and on talking about the past. Honestly, it's really unnecessary. I mean, in the sense that we're trying to grow, We need an understanding so that we can move forward. We need to look at it so that we know what we need to do to move forward. We don't need to dwell in it. Okay? We don't need to dissect it. That's what you do with your therapist. So I just want to give that out because really quick, where therapist is helping you cope and process the past, coaching is helping you progress in forward movement. And that is the goal. That is the goal, because forward movement is growth, right? So, real quick, if you enjoyed this content, I know it's a little bit of seasoned everywhere, just a little bit. You know, we kept on topic pretty good. If you enjoyed this, I would very much love and appreciate if you would share this. I like it. Comment. Let me know. Let me know if you feel comfortable. We want to make this into a community. So share it with us. And I shared a lot with you guys. Honestly, share this. What do you need? What do you feel that you need that you don't have, right? Also, if you're going to comment that an answer to this question, before you comment, go fucking journal about that shit. Write it down. Don't leave a fucking comment on my page if you haven't written it down and processed it for yourself. Don't comment on my page if you have not processed this question for yourself. Okay? I can't be more clear. I literally can't. I can't. Okay? You have to look within, and then you gotta speak it out. You gotta look within, you gotta speak it out. So, go process it, and then come talk about it. Let's talk about it, okay? It's creating community. This is showing authenticity. It is opening the doors for freedom of speech. If that is something that you also have issues with, dealing with, like I have, then this is the community. It's all open speech here. That's not to say that if you say something wrong, that you're not going to get called out on your bullshit. But I'm not going to do it in a way, we're not going to do it in a way that's disrespectful. Okay? It is all 100% respect. But if there's something that you are ignorant about, have an open mind, because the way that is explained might be a little tough love. It might feel a little brutal, but it's exactly what you need to hear in order to grow. And that's how it's always going to be, and that's how it's always just going to be that way, okay? That's how we operate. So, thank you again. Thank you again for tuning into this live. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, guys, tomorrow, like I said, we're going to be talking on this subject again. Things no one wants to talk about, except we're talking about all these things like spirits, demons, angels, the metaphysical world, dimensions. We're going to talk about that shit tomorrow. Okay? Because, like I said, expanding the mind. Okay? Thinking bigger. There's more than these two eyes. We got a whole third eye, my bro, that is not seen. It's not seen, but it sees so much, okay? I gotta go. Bye.